Hey, what's up, my friends? So, welcome back to our first weekly market analysis of the year. Okay? So, right, great to have you back, right? I know we have not been really too active over the last couple of weeks because the markets are, usually more quiet than usual, coming late into December. So, there wasn't really much of a point in analyzing the markets. So, now that the new year is here, right? So, let's have a look, right, at the markets and see what is in stock. So in this week's market analysis, we'll be doing it a little different, right? Instead of diving straight into the trading setups, talking about entries, exits, etc., right? Today we are going to take a step back, right? We're going to look at the broader market, right, from a longer term perspective and identify where are the major trends, right? Because once you've identified the major trends, then all you need to do is to trade along with it, right? So that's basically what a trend follower do, right? We identify the longer term trend and find a way to hop on board the trend. So in this week's market analysis, I'll look through the Forex major currency pairs, we'll talk about indices, we'll talk about metals, and we'll understand where is the big picture for these different sectors. So all this and more in this week's market analysis. I'll see you there. Alrighty. So first up, let's begin. We'll have a look at the US major currency pairs. So what you're looking at is actually the weekly chart of euro dollar, euro against the dollar, weekly chart. And if you look at it, it's pretty clear to you that right now price is still, in a downtrend in the grand scheme of things, right? We are seeing lower prices and price has basically, ranged throughout 2015. So you see this range over here. So again, there is no use trying to predict where this trend will end, right? I would say the first clue that you'll get is that when the trend is end is that when this swing high over here, right, these highs over here gets taken out, right, meaning that price breaks above it, right, then this is the first clue that the price, or I would say that the market could be in a transition from a downtrend to a range and finally to a bull market. But in the meantime, right now it's still contained within the range, so there's no point trying to guess where price would trade higher. Instead, right, just trade along with the trend, right? Bias is still towards the downside on euro dollar, so right, just stick with it. So that's my take on the euro dollar, right? The pound dollar, again, similar story. This is the weekly chart of the pound dollar. Doesn't really look too pretty. So right, you can see that price is still trading lower, about to test these lows over here on the pound dollar. So the grand scheme of things, pound dollar is also in a downtrend, right? Aussie dollar weekly chart, similar story, but this time the trend is more pronounced, right? Notice the 20 and 50 period moving average acting as dynamic resistance. Again, it's telling you that there is a strength on the US dollar, right? US dollar is showing signs of strength. New Zealand dollar, again, in a downtrend, right? Very obvious on this chart. How about the dollar Canadian, right? Looking bullish down here, right? So after looking at a few major currency pairs, you notice that the USD, right? The USD is still pretty strong. So the trend has not reversed yet on the USD, right? A lot of traders are saying, oh, the USD is too expensive, it's going to reverse, it's going to trade lower. But I've just shared with you the 6 major currencies. Oh, sorry, the 5 major currencies. I have not talked about the dollar yet. The 5 major currencies. And you can see that the dollar is still actually, looking pretty strong. So again, right, there's nothing to be bearish on the dollar just yet. So let's talk about the dollar yen, right? Dollar yen is the last one that I have yet to talk about. The trend is still up over here, but I think what's interesting, is that we have a potential head and shoulders pattern that is forming. And this is the neckline. So this potential head and shoulders, right, it is not completed. There is no reason to go short or go bearish just because we see this pattern. Because hey, think about this, right? You see a head and shoulders pattern. You see this is the neckline, but this neckline is also the area of support. Price may come down lower into this area of support, do a false breakout, and then you trade higher from there. Another rally. So again, there is no signs, alright, that the dollar yen is bearish, alright. We see this potential head and shoulders, alright, but it is not confirmed. So as of right now, right, the dollar, as I've mentioned, it still looks bullish. There is no signs of bearishness on it, right? There is no sign of a dollar going to a downtrend. So we will see what happens next, right? In the next few weeks, the next few months, whether the bullishness of the dollar can continue or whether, this will be a year where the dollar sells off, right? This I can't predict, right? I only trade what I see, not what I think, right? So in the meantime, right, as of right now, as I'm doing this video, which is the 3rd of January, right, the US dollar is looking bullish to me. Okay, so that's for the dollars. Let's talk about another sector. How about the metals, shall we? The metals, right? Like gold, silver, etc. Why can't I click this? Oh, that's funny. Give me what's going on. Okay, got it. Okay, let's look at the metals. Weekly chart. This is the weekly chart of gold, right? Again, what's the trend? Tell me, my friends, what is the trend? Right? I see a series of lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. So according to the textbook, you see a series of lower highs, you see a series of lower lows. So the trend is down, right? So gold is in a downtrend, right? And on top of it, it's also respecting the 20 and 50 period moving average, right? So gold is in a downtrend, okay? So in longer term, right, you can tell yourself that, you expect lower prices on gold, right? I'm not talking about the next 1-2 day. We are talking about over the next few weeks, the next few months. We are taking long term down here, right? We are looking at the weekly chart. So your trend is projected over the next few weeks and next few months, right? So don't go look at the 5-minute chart and show me, oh, Rainer, no, the 5-minute chart is looking bullish, right? Gold is going up. Hey, my friend, I'm looking at the weekly chart. So understand the time frame I'm coming from, right? Because I see a lot of traders often they get confused by the time frame they're watching. So there's a very famous Wall Street saying, right? When another trader asks you, what is the trend on, let's say for example, what's the trend on gold? And he replied, what is your time frame? Right? Because trend only exists. Trend is relative, right? To put it across, right? Trend is relative, right? You need to understand what is the time frame first before can you identify what is the trend on the current time frame. If you're talking about a 5-minute chart, the trend could be up. If you talk about a weekly chart, the trend could be down. So this is why I always emphasize, or I will tell you what is the time frame I'm looking at. Right? This is important. So for gold, weekly chart, the trend looks down to me as of now. This is the chart of silver. Again, they are correlated markets, so no surprise that silver is also looking to be in a downtrend, respecting the 20 and 50 period moving average. For those who are unaware, the blue line here is the 50 period moving average. I use the EMA. And the red line over here is the 20 period moving average, EMA as well. So it's in a downtrend, if you ask me, silver, in the longer term. Right, this is palladium. Slightly different, but from the looks of it, right, if you just zoom out a little, right, it still is, in a downtrend. Doesn't look very pretty. How about this? Platinum. Again, right, it's in a downtrend, respecting the 20 period moving average over here. So, alright, I missed out one. How about copper? Let's talk about copper. This is copper, right? Weekly chart. Again, right? Very similar to gold and silver, right? Respecting the 20-50 period moving average. Have lower highs, lower lows. So when you get lower highs and lower lows, what is the trend? The trend is down. Okay? So again, right? My conclusion for the metals is this, right? Is that the metals are still looking weak. So I expect lower prices for metals coming forth over the next few weeks or the next few months, right? Based on the charts that we are actually looking right now. So last but not least, let's cover the last sector, the indices, right? The equity markets. What are the equity markets doing? So let me shift my charts. Okay, let's start with the US market, right? Weekly chart of the S&P. Okay, right? From the looks of it, right, the trend seems to be up, right? We have a few spike down over here, a spike down over here, but right now price actually consolidating just under this resistance over here, right? So if this consolidation were to hold, there's a good chance that we can actually break out higher, right, of it, right? But if it trades below the lows of this range, then chances are you retest these lows over here. I know it sounds really pretty silly, right? If it breaks higher, it's going higher. If it breaks lower, then it's going lower. And this is what we do as a trader. We trade what we see, right? We don't trade what we think, right? So if I see price heading higher, I look to get long. If I see price trading lower, I look to get short. I don't try and predict and say, oh, based on the raise in interest rates, it will affect the stock market because interest rate is going to be high, it's going to be higher to take up loans, etc. Blah blah blah. So that's why company will struggle. So when it struggle, the economy is going to into a slump, and this is why the index will crash and burn. No. I don't make predictions. I just simply trade what I see. So from the looks of it, right, the charts, I'll just mark out key levels. If it breaks certain key levels, I'll look to buy. If it breaks certain key levels, all right, I'll look to short. As simple as it is, all right? Don't try and complicate things, right? So the chart of Nasdaq, very similar story on Nasdaq as well. You have a spike down over here, a spike down here, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still, in an uptrend. So how about this? This is the Dow 30 components, right? Dow Jones. Again, right? we have this consolidation over here, a spike down here, a spike down here, right? Very similar to the S&P because after all, they are all in the US market, so no doubt about it. So again, the grand scheme of things, right? The US market is still in an uptrend, but whether it'll continue or not, that we have to see. I can't predict. I only trade what I see. So I think what's interesting is for the S&P and the Dow, right? We have this consolidation over here. So whether this is a consolidation where you break higher or lower, nobody can predict, right? So we just see what happens next and we just trade accordingly. So this is for the Dow. So let's move on onto the European markets. This is the DAX, if I'm not wrong, right? The DAX market. So if you look at DAX, not as pretty as the US counterpart, right? We see in an uptrend, but given the recent volatility, right, we have this push higher, then we have this sell down, then another pushback higher, and right now price is trading lower. Huge volatility on DAX. So again, right, my bias is somewhat neutral at this point in time. I'm not looking to long, I'm not looking to short. In fact, I'll look to stay out of this market because I have just no setup on it. The Euro stocks, right, the weekly chart, again, very similar to the DAX, right? I'll look to stay out as well. How about Asian markets? Let's come back somewhere closer to home, right? The Nikkei 225, the weekly chart. Again, right, the weekly chart is looking bullish, but looking bullish still, but this portion over here, right, we have this last few weeks of, lower prices. If it persists, right, chances are you retest these lows over here. If it does not and trades higher above this high, chances are you will retest these highs over here. Again, right, no use trying to predict what it's going to do. Just mark out your levels and see whether price breaks those level or whether those level hold. So in terms of trading setup, I'm not really seeing much on the Nikkei as well. The Hang Seng weekly chart, wow, okay, it's not looking pretty at all. You can see that, it's pretty much, we have this spike higher, then we sell down all the way back lower. Then price try to push higher, and right now it's trying to push back lower once again. So Hang Seng not looking pretty, not looking to buy, not looking to sell, looking to stay out. And ASX, all right, weekly chart seems to be in a huge range, if you ask me, right, between these highs, these lows over here. So again, right, I don't have a setup on this, but it's worth to pay attention where it is in the grand scheme of things. And for the local market, STI, the weekly chart, again, not looking pretty. The highs over here. Then we have this support area where price break below, retested previous support turned resistance, and then it traded lower once again. So STI is not looking pretty as well. So if you look at the grand scheme of things for the indices, I would say the US markets, they are one of the stronger ones, right? Still currently in an uptrend. You look at the European counterpart, they are, I would say, they are more of, not really as strong as the US counterpart, right? Still slightly bullish because we have a series of higher highs and higher lows, right? Europeans still slightly bullish. And when you look at the Asian markets, right, Hang Seng, the STI, right, not looking good. So bearish for the Hang Seng and the STI. But Nikkei wise, right, Nikkei is still holding up pretty well for the Asian markets. So this is just a broad perspective of what's happening around the world right now. We talk about the US major currencies, we talk about the metals, we talk about the indices, right? So just a brief recap before I end off today's or this week market analysis is that US dollar, right, still bullish because we see that there is still strength in the US dollar. We talk about the metals, right? Metals are not looking strong, right? We saw that, copper, platinum, gold, silver, etc. They're all in the downtrend. And when we look at the indices, right, it's pretty mixed. All right, US is still leading the pack, followed by the European indices, and the Asian markets are the weakest as of now. So I hope you find this weekly market analysis useful. There's not much trading setups as of yet because I haven't really identified anything that I like. So if I don't see anything, why force it, right? So just a broad overview of what to expect over the next few weeks and the next few months. So yeah, I hope you find this useful, right? So if there's anything, right, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section below. With that, I wish you good luck and good trading. I'll talk to you soon.